149. This also goes with passive voice, but which tense? Future tense. What is the pattern? We should use subject plus will or shall plus be, verb past participle form. I told you guys, any sentence in passive voice, the main verb should be in past participle form. No exception whatsoever. To change active voice to passive voice, look at this. He will buy that book. When you change it to passive voice, that book will be bought by him. Here, will. Then be, bare infinitive. Buy, bought by him. He will buy that book will be bought by him. She will water the plants, will water the plants, future active voice. The plants will be watered by her. But when you try to learn and remember, do remember, keywords you have to focus on. Will water, will be watered, will be watered. Because in the exam they give 4 or 5 options and you have to look for the keywords. One option has those keywords, then you go for that. Every option you don't have to read, then it takes a lot of time. Here, the moment you know it is in future, then you have to know what are the words to be used in passive voice. Will be plus verb. And here you have will be plus verb past participle form. That is the answer. Question, rule number 149 over. Now, rule number 150. This is a bit controversial. I told you of the 12 tenses, 3 tenses we cannot change to passive voice. What are the 3 tenses? Present perfect continuous, past perfect continuous, future perfect continuous. But some grammarians say we cannot change future continuous also to passive voice because the sentence pattern looks very odd. But standard British English we can change. Let us see how to change. Passive voice, rule number 50, future continuous tense. We should use subject plus will or shall plus be, bare infinitive. I told you, any continuous tense in passive voice, we have to use being plus verb, past participle form to change active voice to passive voice. They will be packing the stuff. Will be packing, which tense is this? Future continuous tense. When you change it to passive voice, what is the pattern? The stuff will be being packed. Here will be being pack, packed will be being packed. Now you may wonder, sir, why? You may ask me, sir, why some grammarians have objected? Because it looks a little odd. The stuff will be being packed seems a little odd. Based on that, they must have objected, but grammatically nothing wrong. The stuff will be being packed by them. He will be writing a book. A book will be being written by him. That sounds a little odd. Will be being written, but that is correct. You have to remember. And how to deal with active voice, passive voice. Do remember, this is very important. If they give a sentence, in active voice, you should know for sure what it is in passive voice. If at all they give a sentence in passive voice, you have to know for sure what it is in active voice. Both the forms you have to have at your fingertips. That is very important to deal with this topic. Rule number 151. Passive voice, present perfect tense. Many competitive exams, they have given questions, present perfect passive voice. Why is it so? I have told you many a time, of all the tenses, 12 tenses, the most important tense is present perfect tense. In conversational English, in written English, at the workplace, quite often we use present perfect. And one of the differences between those who are good at English, those who are not good at English, those who are not good at English use past tense quite often. Those who are good at English use present perfect quite often. So be careful with this. How do we change? We should use subject plus have or has. Been. What is this been? Past participle of the primary auxiliary be. Verb past participle form to change active voice to passive voice. They have done the work. They have done the work. What is the passive voice? The work. Here again you have to be careful with. Subject is they, so we have to use a plural verb. I have used They have. But when you change to passive voice, the work becomes a subject. The work is singular. So we have to be careful here. You cannot use the same plural verb. What are we supposed to say? We have to use, based on the subject, appropriate verb we have to. Is everything okay? Give me a second. The work has been done by them. Have or has, based on the subject, has been, and do, did, done. Verb past participle form. This is very important. Based on the subject, you have to use the appropriate verb form. She has made the toy, has made, and all the perfect tenses in passive voice, do remember, they take been. Been is compulsory. Like all continuous tenses in passive voice, take the word being, being. All the continuous tenses in passive voice. Same way, all the perfect tenses in passive voice take the word been. The toy has been made by her. She has, the toy has. What is important here? Has been made. Make, made, made. Has been made. I hope everything is okay. The toy has been made by her. What is the pattern? Have or has plus have or has based on the subject plus been plus verb past participle form has been made. Very important tense. Now what happens here, these examples are very simple familiar examples. She has done the work. She has done the work. The work has been done by her. They have watered, they have painted the wall. The wall has been painted by them. Here we try to make everything simple because you have to learn the patterns, you have to learn the rules. But in the exam, they test the same thing. They may give a lengthy sentence, unfamiliar context. If you have your basics at your fingertips, it doesn't matter unfamiliar context, it doesn't matter lengthy sentence, you will be able to answer the question. Let us go to rule number 152. Passive voice, past perfect tense. Present perfect, what is the pattern? Have or has plus been plus verb, past participle form. Here, whatever the subject, we use had. So, what is the pattern? Subject plus had, irrespective of the subject, plus been plus verb, past participle form. We should use subject plus had plus been plus verb, past participle form to change active voice to passive voice. They had started the program. The program had been started by them. Had been started. I told you any perfect tense in passive voice, we need the word been. What is this been? Past participle form of the primary auxiliary be. We had informed them. They had been informed by us. And you got to be careful with pronoun form also. When we say we had informed them, pronoun is in the subject position, subject form. Object position, object form. But when you bring it to the subject position, we have to use the subject form. Them changes to they. And we goes to the object position, we changes to us. This also you got to be careful based on the location. If the pronoun is in the subject position, we have to use the subject form. If the pronoun is in the object position, we have to use the object form. They had been informed by us. Rule number 153, passive voice, future perfect tense. We should use subject plus will or shall plus have plus been plus verb past participle form. This is a lengthy one. As such, I told you, Many people don't use past perfect continuous. They substitute with past continuous. They don't use future perfect. They substitute with future tense. They don't use future perfect continuous. They substitute with future continuous. This is a lengthy one, and exam very important from the exam point of view. Subject plus will or shall plus have plus been. Any verb past participle form. I will have completed the construction work by tomorrow. So what is it? Will have completed. And you have very simple passive voice will have been completed. One word has been added. Which word is that? Been. Will have completed, will have been completed. That pattern you have to catch. And subject goes to the object position, object goes to the subject position. I subject, I will have completed the construction work by tomorrow. The construction work will have been completed by me by tomorrow. Will have been completed. Will have completed changes to will have been completed. And this is not easy for many students because it's a lengthy pattern. Rule number 53 goes with future perfect tense. Some students, they must have joined a little late. We cannot change, I would like to repeat, we cannot change perfect continuous tenses to passive voice. They become too lengthy. So we never teach, nobody asks also. Of the 12 tenses, you should learn how to change 9 tenses from active voice to passive voice. 9 tenses. Basic tenses 6 in number, 3 perfect tenses. 6 plus 3, 9. How to change from active voice to passive voice. And this is one dimension. There are 2 dimensions. What is the first dimension? How to change tenses. How many tenses? 9 tenses. What is the second dimension? Rules. There are some important rules that go with passive voice. Those rules, higher level, lower level, they ask you tenses based on tenses. Higher level, they ask you based on important rules. I'll give an example. If you look at this sentence, she is to write a letter. She is to write a letter. This is a pattern which doesn't come under regular grammar topics. And the sentence is to write, that is a pattern. In English, we have about 350 sentence patterns. When you learn entire grammar, you learn about 150 sentence patterns on the higher side. Still, how many patterns are there? 200 patterns. You don't have to learn. They go with professionals, writers, different professions. And here, she is to write a letter. What does it mean? It means according to some arrangement, according to some agreement, she is supposed to write a letter. But how do we change this to passive voice? First, what is the object? She is to write what? A letter. Becomes a subject. A letter is to be written by her. Look at the pattern carefully. She is to write a letter. A letter is to be written. Is to write changes to what? Is to be written. Here we have added be and verb past participle form. I'll give one more example. These examples are very important. They were to do the work. These are actually infinitives. What is the infinitive here? To do. And what is the object? The work. It becomes the subject. How do we change it? The work. Here they plural, verb plural, verb. Work singular, we have to use singular, but past. The work was to be done by them. Is to be written, was to be done. Here we have repeated the helping verb, primary auxiliary. To, then we have added be, and whatever the verb, we have to use a past participle form. They were to do the work changes to the work was to be done by them. Have you guys got it? And in the exam, what happens? I've given you only the affirmative form. We have two more forms, interrogative, negative. They are not easy to deal with under pressure. Look at this example. Who wrote that book? Who wrote that book? This is in past active voice. How does it change to passive voice? By whom was that book written? By whom was that book written? Some people think by whom that book was written. No, it should be in interrogative form. By whom was that book written? And these are very difficult under pressure. By whom was that book written? Who wrote that book? By whom was that book written? Who taught you English? By whom were you taught English? A lot of people say by whom you were taught English. That goes more with conversational English. But standard British English, question should be in the question form. Interrogative, interrogative. Who taught you English? Interrogative form. When you change it to passive voice, it should be in interrogative form. By whom were you taught English? By whom were you taught English? And who wrote that book? By whom was that book written? Tomorrow, more rules. For today, remember active voice, passive voice. You got based on the 9 tenses rules. Tomorrow, we'll take important rules that go with active voice and passive voice, especially when you change active to passive. Some important rules you have to learn and remember. They have been touching.